Okay,
Okay.
Miss Nurul, the next 10 minutes is yours.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to all of the audience. Today I, Nurul Habaib Al-Mukarramah, on behalf of the other authors, starting from Dr. Maskan, Ms. Siti Nurhaliza Bahril, and Mr. Hasbi Asidik, would like to represent our paper within the title of Preservation of Rammang-Rammang Biodiversity, which questioning what is actually the legal certainty for local community. Next slide, please. Alright, before we jump into the scope of Rammang-Rammang issue, let's just see how rich actually it is in Indonesia regarding the karst area. So Indonesia have been granted by God for 1,400,000 kilometers area of karst, which actually very positively contributing to the climate change since it has absorbed 13,842 greenhouse gases or GG carbon dioxide each year in Indonesia. We're actually under the permanent ESDM number 1 2020, the karst area, which its geodiversity have been established as a part of geoheritage asset that shall be protected by all sectors of government, stakeholders, and even local society. While the spatial plan law even further recognized that karst area is qualified as a unique landscape area under the National Geological Conservation Area, which then have been attributed rights and also mandates to the government, to the local government under the permanent ESDM number 17, year 2012, where the regional government shall establish its karst landscape area to protect its function, starting from natural water management, uniqueness, and scientific value as research and investigation object for scientific development. Next slide, please. However, what actually happened in Rammang-Rammang karst is not in line with what the government have actually governed, with what the government actually have been regulated. Because back in 2008, the local government have granted a mining license to Anhua Semen Ltd, where the permit is pertaining to the marble and limestone mining, which will potentially exploit and destructing the karst area. But the rejection from local community by turning Rammang-Rammang as a tourism site with the power of the community-based tourism has successfully discontinued the mining activity itself. However, there are several things that we shall note from this current phenomenon. First, there is a lack of government participation. What happened after the local community have established it as a tourism site where now it became popular? The government then come and withdraw retribution within the basis of regulation, but it's not consulted and formulated by involving the local people, which is the Salenrang village. Second, there's no recognition of local society by regional government, although locals plays an important role in managing karst tourism area through a community-based tourism or CBT implementation. However, what actually contained in Rammang-Rammang karst is very, very rich in terms of its geological, including karst and among storehitters, biodiversity, including aves and fish species, and also our endemic species Macaca mura, and also the cultural diversity, or we know it as Malopi culture, or sailboating in the Pute River. Next slide, please. So in terms of this research, that is why we conducted this research within the method of utilizing normative legal research to obtaining data from literature study and case study from Rammang-Rammang karst area and its local community, where the primary legal materials obtained from relevant regulations and secondary legal materials obtained from various related literatures. Actually, we also have conducted interview with several NGOs which focusing on the preservation of Rammang-Rammang biodiversity that will be analyzed descriptively to reveal the result of this paper. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so in terms of the first discussion, in the legal basis of attributing legal certainty to local communities for tourism purpose, it is actually the right of all people to be recognized, to manage, to own their own area, to gain manifest from their own area under Article 33, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution, which then have been attributed to the permanent LHK year 2017, which strengthened the urgency for local government that shall take role as a facilitator in promoting and implementing further legal recognition in its hierarchical higher regulations, such as in a decree, regency, or provincial regulation that also involving the local community aspiration in its formulation, where it's been attributed again to the local stage, wherein the provincial regulation number 3 year 2019 have urged to develop capacity and community empowerment in a participatory, equitable, and environmentally friendly manner in a karst landscape, which ensure that the sustainability of society and living biodiversity, which preserve the environment for maximum prosperity of society and aims to increase the role of community in protecting and managing the karst area. So what we shall stress here is that the local community holds the focal point and pivotal point in order to manage and to preserve their own environment, especially in the karst Rammang-Rammang area. Next slide, please. So, still, we have to learn about the best practices of the community-based tourism implementation in other areas to ensure that we can learn from them and we can try to do the same. For example, like under the government regulation, it actually have been strategized on the policy direction of local community empowerment on CBT through maintaining the potential of local resources as its tourism attraction, pass on local wisdom through local community empowerment. Two examples that we can take is first the Pangandaran Karst area, which is fully managed by the COMPEPAR, or the Social Community of Tourism Driving Force. So even in Pangandaran, the provincial government have already given legal recognition to the local communities as well to ensure that they can manage their own area under the provincial regulation itself. And also, they can synchronize within the local culture with a living law or custom in purpose of maintaining an optimal synergy between government as the facilitator. The second best practices that we can take is Tangkahan ecotourism, which Tangkahan local community has previously has become one of the biggest illegal logger community there. But then it turned into an initiative by proliferating an ecotourism area and establishing Tangkahan tourism institution in their forest area. Even the government also have facilitated the multi-sectoral government through provincial, regency, and central government through a recognition and accelerating partnership with tourism stakeholders. Next slide, please. Well, in terms of the Rammang-Rammang biodiversity and how can we implement the community-based tourism or CBT to preserve all of the local wisdoms and also the geo-heritage, the geo, bio, and cultural diversity. First, actually the local community of Rammang-Rammang have attempted many ways in terms of gaining recognition. First is they already tried to propose a pro-climate village, they already proposed a social forest regime, and also they already proposed Tanah Objek Reforma Agraria, or Agrarian Reform Object Land, or we know it as TORA. However, this is not have been approved by the government itself. Second, they already have an effective management of Pukdarwis, or tourism-aware society, which already provides several services to all of the tourists. And also, after we know that the latest issue is our Ministry of Tourism have come into Rammang-Rammang area, which then wanted to propose Rammang-Rammang to UNESCO Global Geopark, which actually UGG, or UNESCO Global Geopark, requires legal existence of management body under the local community, under the national regulation, and involving indigenous people as key stakeholder in drafting management plan to protect biodiversity. In conclusion, the Constitution and further specialized regulation has guaranteed the rights of local communities to be recognized in owning and managing its living area that further come into the existence of a form of CBT under the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, where a local government also shall learn from the other regions' best practice of CBT in preserving its area and contain biodiversity. However, this recognition is vital in terms of qualifying Rammang-Rammang as a UGG, where its criteria have obligated Rammang-Rammang local government to strengthen the engagement between local communities as a primary actor of CBT by facilitating its needs to be recognized, along with their cultural identity, their need for prosperity, and their purpose to preserve and protect its living area and its biodiversity. That is the end of my presentation, and looking forward for future discussions ahead. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.